Hey, Carl, Jason here. The idea of doing a game where you're time traveling, then using an older version of the game to run that, you mentioned Marvel, and then maybe using the TSR Marvel superheroes when they're in the 80s, is really interesting. Of course, the other game that really dials into that is D&D, right? Because in D&D and the lore, and I know you've talked about this in the past, and BJ's talked about this in the past, is the idea that when they did edition changes, they came up with background events to kind of explain the changes in the editions a little bit. And it would be really interesting to do a wide ranging D&D campaign where you change the rule sets when you're in those different eras of D&D. So that's kind of cool. You'd have to have players that are willing to play other versions of D&D. I know you have some players that won't play any older editions. They'll only play new editions. Like some people won't watch black and white movies. But I think that would be a really neat campaign if you were bouncing back and forth and, changed your D&D character between first edition and third edition and whatever, right? I think that could be maybe a little bit frustrating at times, but it could be a really interesting game. And the same thing with the Marvel game you're proposing. To change from the multiversal system back to the TSR Marvel superhero system would be really interesting. So that does sound very intriguing, and I hope you're able to get that off the ground. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Carl Rodriguez is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geomologist Presents cool show for you today, prompted by that call from Jason Connerly. Yeah, I always wanted to do like a series of games where you play different systems to tell the overall story. And it was prompted, well, I thought about it in my previous episode, and then Jason kind of jumped on that. And yeah, there's another game too, by the way, for Marvel, and I'll talk about that in the segment. But yeah, there is that one. Then Jason mentioned the D&D one, or a D&D one, and then I might have to go back into my Discord archives and find the Eternal Ducktail, or the Infinite Ducktail, and yeah. Oh, but first, you know what? I'm going to do an unboxing. So I got this package here, and this package is 10.5 or 27 centimeters by 13 inches or about 33 centimeters, and it is pretty deep too. It is about 6.5 inches or 16 centimeters thick. So I actually did rip the thing off already. Inside we see a bubble wrapped box, and there's multiple things in here. There's a book, and there is a box that rattles. The book is the Walking Dead universe role-playing core rules. I'm actually kind of excited to get this, truth be told. It uses the Mutant Year Zero engine, but the Mutant Year Zero engine that you would see in Mutant Year Zero or Tales from the Loop or Alien role-playing game, or the other one, Vaesen or Coriolis. So not the variant that you see in Twilight 2000 or Blade Runner. So very curious. The book looks very nice. I haven't gotten to the starter set yet. The book clocks in. The book is not super thick. It has maps on both sides of northeast Georgia and, northeast Georgia is where it has the map of. That's kind of the starting point. If you've seen the series or read the Kirkman books, it's like I said, it's not super thick. It's a hardback book. It clocks in with the indices at, well, there's no page numbers. I'm just curious. There you go. No page numbers. Oh, there it is. 127. I see a 127. We're going higher. Yeah, like 164, and then with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of back matter, 8 pages of back matter, so 172. Not a huge book. It is broken up into, it looks like 8 chapters, an adventure, an appendix, and a solo play. Oh, I definitely will do the solo play if I can't get anyone to get me or get with me to the table for this game. So, introduction, the world of the dead, player characters, skills and talents. So, player characters, how to make them, skills and talents, combat and healing, home and away, the haven, and then going on runs, running the game, Atlanta. So they have like a site, and then the Golden Ambulance, which is a adventure set in Atlanta. Then an appendix, which has walkers, empty rooms, random locations, NPCs, and scavenging. And then solo play, create your solo survivor, solo tools, preparing your game, solo procedures, etc. Combat, swarm, end of the road type of thing. So that's pretty cool. So that is the Walking Dead role-playing core rules. And then also in the box set is the Walking Dead Universe role-playing starter set. So this one I gotta open because it's shrink wrapped. So you get to hear my note that I have no nails, but I was able to get it on there and peel this off. And throw this all in the box for recycle. It's actually not a bad box. I could keep that to send stuff away, get stuff off my shelves that I don't really use. Send it to Noble Night or something. Anyway, so the box set, I opened it there, and I'm opening the box. Oh, okay, it's got some token things that look like they were sort of punched. I don't understand where that comes from. Okay, oh yeah, I guess maybe it's like a spin, like a spin wheel. For threat, so it's got threat meter. Then it has 2 sets of dice. It has like the stress dice, and it has like the your target dice and your stress dice. And then it has a bunch of other stuff. Little catalog in there. The threat meter would be fun to use too. Has like looks like it has NPCs. Yay, NPCs. That maybe means I can get Amy to play the game because she doesn't have to make a character. But it's got interesting. It's got 2 sets of NPCs. It's got NPCs that have nothing to do with the role playing. Nothing to do with the Walking Dead TV show, and then a bunch of iconic characters from the TV show comics. TV show looks like Carol Pelletier. So Carol, Glenn, Michonne, Gabriel. I don't remember if Gabriel was in the comic books. I know he's in the show. So there you go. A really cool map of the maps of northern Georgia, and then a lot of little site maps to use in the game. I think is it two-sided? I feel like it's two-sided. Oh yeah, in Southwest Virginia. Oh, and then there's the Walking Dead universe, the kind of base rules, so another little mini rule book, how to do it, some base gear that all the play characters have, and then the adventure, the Wolves Den. So the Wolves Den clocks in at about 16 pages, so not a huge adventure, and the little rules manual clocks in at around 32 pages. So not a lot of, not big, but starter set nonetheless. And of course, the draw is getting the dice and getting all the NPCs and player characters, and the cool little threat meter. All right, definitely want to get this to the table. It would be really fun. I guess the question is who to convince to play and when. So cool. All right, well, let's jump into the show. My first idea for a multi-rules, multi-game comes from the Marvel Multiverse, really, and it's hinted at it in the title. And what I conceived is like starting a modern day. I'd probably use like X-Men because I think there's a really neat set of X-Men series that take place kind of now. You could do something in the now where there's a threat to the X-Men, and really it centers around, X-Men being different, being really a different species of humans, and you could target that now. You could find contemporary issues that you just change it to superhero genre, where it's us versus them. That's been an ongoing theme in X-Men comics for a long time. You could start something modern day and use the Marvel Multiverse RPG. There's plenty of X-Men to choose from, and they're actually going to have an X-Men book, a supplement, coming out, I think, Q1 in 2024. Now, then you could jump back in time somehow. It always can happen in the multiverse, deal with the various strands and branches of time. Maybe you could, if you're familiar with the Loki series, you could get the TVA involved, the Timeline Variance Authority, and maybe they recruit some X-Men, or maybe the X-Men find like a Siege Perilous and go back in time. And I would go back to like the early aughts. A great movie to hitch on is The Last Stand, where it's, Magneto is the one who's driving this change with a brotherhood of evil mutants, and that would be the main adversary in this sort of, homage to Last Stand and that sort of brotherhood of evil mutant sort of comic book threads that came out with the Sony version of the MCU back in the early aughts. And then you could use the Marvel heroic role playing game made by Margaret Weis or the Weis Company, or even the Marvel Universe role playing game based on the Saga system that came out. Both came out, Marvel heroic role playing about 2012, but Marvel Universe role playing a little earlier in time. I think it was. I had it up here, but yeah, Marvel Superheroes role playing that came out in. No, that was a different one. That's coming. But Marvel Heroic role playing came out in 2012, and the Marvel Superheroes adventure game. No, that's the card game. But there it is. The Marvel Universe role playing game came out in 2003, right? So the one that's based on kind of saga. And then, but that was based off the earlier game, which now I will get to. So then your conclusion would be to go back to the 1980s and play out the Days of Future Past set of series of comic books that were published in 1981. And if you don't remember, these were a storyline from Marvel Comics Uncanny X-Men issues 141 to 140 and 142, in a dystopian future where mutants are incarcerated in internment camps. And some heroes from today go back and meet some heroes from then and enemies. And it would be great to go back, since we're doing multi-rules, right, and multi-games, to go back to the 1984 Marvel Superheroes role-playing game published by TSR and use that for your rule set for those. So 3 different games or series of games. Who knows how many sessions they would be or episodes they would be. Right? I guess if you put it in the comic book parlance, how many issues they would be each. But you have 1 to 3 issues, each done in the modern day Marvel Multiverse, back in the early aughts, Last Stand days, using Marvel Heroic Role Playing or Marvel Universe Role Playing, and then back to the 1980s, the Days of Future Past sort of saga, using Marvel Superheroes Role Playing, the 1984, the 1986 advanced version. I think that would be pretty cool. So what about in D&D, right? So Jason alluded to this, and he said that there seems to be some sort of crisis at every incarnation of D&D. And I think you might, I don't have to. You could put it in other, there's definitely other crises. For example, Greyhawk, the rise of IUs and all that kind of situation going on there. But Forgotten Realms kind of has documented really some sort of cataclysmic change from Spell Plague to the Avatar War for every incarnation of the different systems, or different AD&D system, Dungeons and Dragons systems, from AD&D to D&D 5 to cover those cataclysmic events. So I think and actually you could use a really neat location that's been there since AD&D, the Gray Box days, and that's Candlekeep right? It's a Candlekeep is a library, and it has a lot of mysteries and lore, and apparently it has extra dimensional portals. Ed Greenwood established that there are portals all over the place in the Forgotten Realms, even from those early AD&D first edition days. So you could start, I don't know, I haven't looked. I might have Candlekeep Mysteries. It's an adventure anthology for fifth edition, and it has like 16 different adventures, going from level 1 to 16. And I might examine them and see, hey, maybe these can be time jumps back in time, and then we use different rule systems to use that. But you could jump back from fifth edition. You could jump back to like Spell Plague days and run an adventure for in fourth edition. You could jump back to the sort of coming of shade into the world. So all these, and that was in like 3.5, and run an adventure there for Forgotten Realms 3.5. And then you could jump back to the Avatar War, and where the gods, sort of avatars of the gods, walk the earth, and they transition from first and second edition, and then run something there with second edition AD&D, and then start some games or end the saga in first edition Forgotten Realms at some point. You could even jump back in time, and like maybe one would be fun for, especially with dealing with the shade thing. You could jump back in time and maybe prevent. That could be either second edition or third edition. Jump back in time to prevent the shades from Netheril, right, from doing whatever they need to do. That was an ancient kingdom run by these mages who worshipped Shadow, and not Sauron, not Lord of the Rings Shadow, but shadow magic as opposed to regular magic. And they had this ancient empire. You could jump back into them, and you could even do that first edition or second edition, because they're introduced in hints in first edition, introduced as a box set in second edition, because they did like this all their empires or old empires type of books or series of books in second edition, and then 3.5 they come into the modern day. So then that would be like, and that was a big deal that the Netherese have come back, right? That was a big cataclysmic event, and there was like wars, and they were trying to change the landscape, the political landscape, and reestablish their empire. So in third edition, so I don't know much about fourth. I kind of bounced Forgotten Realms in fourth edition, but I know there was like a spell plague, and then there's these weird floating areas, and that's how weird floating mounds of terrain and earth, and some disappeared and some reappeared, and I don't know. I don't understand it, but hey, you could jump back and play some fourth edition in that time frame. You could play. I guess you could play Driss Jordan in every single time frame, if you really wanted to, since he existed way back in first edition when the Icewind Dale trilogy came about, and then he's had books throughout all the editions. So I guess he's still around through Spell Plague and all that. That's a joke. That's a joke, Jason. Clearly, this one is not as well thought out, but I got some ideas and where you could world hop and time hop back and forth. You can even plane hop. I think there was one adventure in second edition I wanted to run, a few of them, where you kind of went back and forth between the Forgotten Realms and the Domains of Dread, the Ravenloft setting, or the location of the Ravenloft setting. So that would be kind of interesting. There's one adventure. There's some also in second edition. There is definitely a lot of creativity and plane hopping and world hopping and stuff like that. And I could definitely take inspiration from some of those old products. But I think it would be fun. Again, a session or three, fifth edition, session 3, fourth edition, and it doesn't even have to be in order. A session or 3 in third edition. And then you could even, I don't know, would the idea be to prevent these cataclysms from happening, or to make sure that they happen because of the timeline and the formation of the realms and of what we know of the realms today? What could you influence? How could you change it? And that would be the fun part to me, is how you could change it to make it your Forgotten Realms because of what you did way back, or time jumped way back, right? And it'd be fun again to take your character concept and then make it level up in, say, the fifth edition for third level, and then you say you get to it'd be quite interesting. You probably wouldn't want to go up so high, because when you get to like first and second edition, right, 9, 10, 7 to 12, or whatever. I mean, some of those those high level modules were like for levels 9 to 12, right? So maybe level 12 would be your cap in whatever system you play, but you got 5 different versions of D&D or so. So if you wanted to go to 15 levels, I guess that would work. About 3 levels in each at each edition of the game. So 5, 4, 3.5, 3, 3.5, 2, and then 1. Would you conclude it at 1, or would you jump back to 5th? I don't know. That would be kind of interesting. Or would you start with AD&D and jump to the future? I think it's more interesting to go to the past because that's already written, and then it can be changed. That's my opinion. But would you want to go to the future or jump to the past? Could be interesting. So the last thing that I wanted to sort of discuss in this sort of multi-game, multi-rules, multi-game, multiverse was this thing that I bandied about on my Discord for a while. I actually pinned it, and it was something I called the epic genre-spanning tale of the rise and fall of ducks from the beginning to the end of time. So you see like these duck creatures appear here and there in various games, RuneQuest, Marvel Universe, cartoons, right? I think it'd be kind of fun to do that, to have like ducks throughout the span of time, and I had some great ideas for it. Jason Connerly and I bandied this about a long time ago, and like I said, I pinned it in my Discord, and with the addition of a new game that I will throw in here soon, very soon. It kind of brings it back to the fore. So here's the current list: Neanderduck, prehistoric rule set like Blood and Snow, or I have Paleomythic as well. There's also a new 5e system that's like sort of a prehistoric kind of game, and you could adapt a duck species for that. And then you'd have Bronze Age ducks, so of course Glorantha, where you have the RuneQuest duck-like creatures that are in there, the humanoid duck-like creatures. And then you could do like a Skyrealms game using BRP. And then maybe for medieval or Renaissance, sort of the D&D genre, Dragonbane has just come out, and they have mallards as a playable species. So you have ducks there. So it'd be like DuckTales 1. So you could do something in Dragonbane or adapt something to make it more maybe grounded in our timeline. I guess for Bronze Age ducks, if you don't want to be married to the Glorantha rule set or Glorantha setting, you could use jackals and just set it to Near East or Northern Africa. That'd be kind of cool too. So then you'd use you could use Dragonbane for like a early medieval setting, fantasy setting. You could use BRP. There's Humblewood 5e, and then DuckTales 2. You could do like a Renaissance, Age of Enlightenment. So you could use a Victorian. You could also use basic role playing for that. There's Victoriana. You could use Historia 5e, which is a Renaissance anthropomorphic animal role playing as well, or stick with Dragonbane. Then if you wanted to do like early 20th century, jump up like a Darkwing Duck. So you could use Pulp, Call of Cthulhu, Champions, Amazing Adventures, Savage World Superhero. Why not? That'd be kind of cool. And then when you jump up, Howard the Duck to like the modern time, you could use Marvel, the new Marvel Multiverse, or Mutants and Masterminds. I guess you could always use Champions there if it didn't really work for you. Or you could use, that'd be kind of fun to have Howard the Duck and a lot of other duck-themed superheroes in one of the Marvel multiverses. I'm sure there's a multiverse where they're all ducks. Hold on, let me see. All right, not all ducks, but anthropomorphic animals playing superheroes. And that is Earth 8311, where you have Peter Porker being Spider Pig. That'd be pretty cool. In fact, in that universe, they have Doctor Doom. So, Spider Ham. It's not Spider Pig. It's Spider Ham. But Doctor Doom. Would be kind of neat to be a villain in that. And of course, you throw in Howard the Duck, but you could have a lot of other different duck-themed superheroes. Just Marvel superheroes that are ducks. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe Black Widow could be a duck. for example. That'd be kind of neat. So next, after that, I guess you'd have post-apocalyptic ducks, and what's great is that Mutant Year Zero. Actually, if you play the video game, one of the heroes is an anthropomorphic duck, but Mutant Year Zero, it does have like a animal theme. It is Gen Lab Alpha, I believe, and it's like an animal themed um, mutants, right? And then you could do ducks in space. There are definitely duck based races you could use in Starfinder. I think that'd be kind of neat. And then ducks of the Ninth World, so maybe the Numenera rule set or Numenera setting. And then finally, ducks at the end of time, a couple, what is it called? Shadow of the Demon Lord. Use that because that's very quick and you can adapt, I'm sure, find a duck for that. So there you go. The rise and fall of ducks from the beginning to the end of time. Now that would be the ultimate multi-rules, multi-game, multiverse, long spanning campaign. But I think it'll be pretty fun. So anyway, this is just a little exercise in exploring that. I thank you, Jason, for the prompt. I hope you all have enjoyed this. This has been the Gemologist Presents. Please comment. It might be fun. What ideas do you have for a multi-verse, multi-rules, multi-game campaign? And we could share those ideas. You can email me at gemologist@gmail.com or drop me a message in the Audio Dungeon Discord, or actually PM me on Discord. I'm on the Audio Dungeon Discord and a number of other Discords. And then, or you can leave a SpeakPipe message, which I have in the show notes. And I'm not going to put all the games that we mentioned, probably just the Marvel games that we mentioned. You can Google D&D. These other games, if you really have questions, let me know, and I'll send you a link to some of these games that I mentioned. Maybe the new ones, maybe a couple like Dragonbane, or but like you'll have the Marvel one. But I think that's it. Yeah. Well, thanks. TJ Drennan does the interaction music. My wife Amy Lee does the clever clip art. So thank you so much. Good night and good rolling.